Would you trade up the #1 pick to select Geno Smith, Skip Bayless?
Stephen A., I love Ron Jaworski. I respect Ron Jaworski, but to me, this question is ludicrous and laughable. Right now, Geno Smith is being overrated as much as Matt Barkley is being underrated. But maybe that will change when Matt Barkley has his pro day later this month at USC. Here we go again with my pet peeve, Stephen A. It's a pro day. The young man is throwing in shorts and a T-shirt inside with nobody rushing and nobody covering his teammate receivers that he loved to throw to during his college football days at West Virginia. Overrated. You just can't put any stock in what happened to Alex Smith at his pro day when all of the NFL executives and scouts in attendance gave him a standing ovation. I can't remember the numbers, Steve. I think it was like 62 out of 62 that Alex, not a ball touched the ground the whole workout. And then what happened? He was overrated as the #1 overall pick. Todd McShay says that Jamarcus Russell put on the greatest show at his pro day that Todd McShay had ever witnessed. And then what happened to that #1 overall pick? I respect Geno Smith. I like him. I just don't love him. Would I maybe take a shot late in the first round, high in the second round? I just might, because I do love the overall numbers. 42 touchdowns last year to only 6 interceptions. But I watched a lot of his games, Stephen A. He was throwing to a high pick in Tavon Austin and maybe a second or third round pick in Stedman Bailey. And you can't tell me they didn't help make Geno look a little bit better. He started out on fire. They go 5-0. He's the Heisman frontrunner. And then what happened? As I always say, look at the tape. The tape doesn't lie. Look at the game at Texas Tech and tell me he didn't struggle in the wind against more of a blitzing pass rush. Look at the tape against TCU. Look at his bowl game in inclement weather against Syracuse. They lost 7 of their last 9 games, including 6 in a row after their 5-0 start, Stephen A. So just look at the tape and tell me that's the #1 overall pick, because I didn't see it.
I can't argue with that, Skip. I've got my reservations as well about him. I will give him credit for leading the nation with touchdown passes. There's no doubt about that. You throw 42 touchdown passes. I'm not going to sneeze at that. I like his body. I seem to like his mobility from what I saw with him this year. And I'm not going to sneeze at that as well. But what stands out in my mind that gives me cause to pause, as I like to say, was that performance against Kansas State. Kansas State was one of the top-ranked teams in the nation. We were looking forward to them going up against West Virginia and to see how Geno Smith was going to do. And what did we see? They got shellacked, 55-14. They got annihilated. They got steamrolled. And so to me, that kind of stuff stands out, plus the bowl game when they lost to Syracuse 38-14. I'm watching stuff like that. They lost to Texas Christian. They lost, I'm just looking down the list right here. But I can't ignore the fact you dropped 70 on Baylor, which doesn't seem to be too hard to do these days. You dropped 48 on Texas. I'll give credit where credit is due as it pertains to that, but it was inconsistent. So to me, I don't blame you for using the word laughable, because I'm sure you're not laughing at him being a first-round pick. You're not laughing at him being one of the quarterbacks that garners consideration. What you find laughable is that we're talking about him being the #1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And I have a philosophy. I have a philosophy when it comes to the #1 overall pick. When it comes to somebody that elite, I don't need the NFL scouting combine nor a pro day to find out whether or not you're the #1 overall pick.
Good point.
We usually hear about this prior to the NFL scouting combine or a pro day.
Yep.
We don't usually, listen, with the Peyton Mannings of the world and others, whether it was Vince Young at 3, Reggie Bush at #2, Mario Williams at #1, we didn't have questions about where they were going to land in the draft and what they were going to be able to do, because we knew that they were bona fide picks and they would fall somewhere in the top 5. It was just a matter of when. And then I heard the ultimate piece of evidence that I actually forgot, Skip. Actually didn't cross my mind until the great Todd McShay reminded us all. Jamarcus Russell turned it out on a pro day. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. I mean, the second I heard that Jamarcus Russell tore it up and he was the man and he was absolutely sensational, I said, oh, no. This has no credibility to me. Now, the second I heard that, I mean, why even bother? Why even waste my time thinking about it? No way. So in light of that,
He didn't go there.
I'm going to lean with you, Skip. I'm going to lean with you on this.
Wait, we didn't even get a Jabba the Hutt reference. I was waiting for it. You got to give me one.
You know what?
Come on.
I did Jabba the Hutt, Jamarcus Russell, but I'm trying to be nice.
He's a softer Stephen A.
This is a softer. It's Friday.
Well, listen.
It's casual.
That was my position about him initially because I believe somebody who steals nearly $40 million from an organization and just doesn't go all out for his own teammates, leaves all of them hanging. You need to wait to get a second chance. I do believe he's waited long enough, so I don't want to serve as any kind of impediment to that. But I still don't believe in him. And I believe that when you have that kind of opportunity and you blow it so flagrantly, so disrespectfully, I mean, come on. But I'm trying to refrain from the Jabba the Hutt, but I do feel that way.
We got two references.
We got two.
Yeah. So this is my point is your point. I want Stephen A. Smith to be able to turn on his TV on a Saturday night, Kansas State against West Virginia, at West Virginia, and say, wow, Geno Smith, there's the first pick in the draft. That it's the eye test. And he didn't pass the eye test in any number of games. Now, let's be fair about this. West Virginia had the 112th ranked defense. They were atrocious on defense. We can't blame Geno for that. He was having to try to outgun other teams that could easily score against his team. He did hit 71% of his passes. High. I give him high marks for that. I give him fairly high marks, Stephen A., for the 40 he ran at the Combine. 4.59. It's about 4.6-ish. But it beats the heck out of a Tom Brady 40. The point is, though, Geno's not a running quarterback. He's not in that mode of what we just saw this last year, RG3 and Colin and Russell Wilson, and that whole new wave of the read option quarterbacks. I don't think Geno's going to fit that mold. He's more pure drop back. He's about 6'2", they measured him at. Got good stature, 218. I like all that. I just don't love it if we're talking first pick.
I agree with you. And the one last point I'd like to make is this. Back-to-back weeks, Skip, you lose to Texas Tech by 35. Come back the very next week against Kansas State, ranked 4th in the nation at the time, and you lose to them by 41. A 35-point loss, a 41-point loss in back-to-back weeks. And then after that, you lose a game by 1 point to TCU before losing by 21 to Oklahoma.
No, I think that game closer than that. I think that went to the end. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a 35, a 41-point, and a 21-point loss in 3 out of 4 weeks does not look good. He doesn't play defense, and I get that. But you play offense. And when you have those kind of losses on your resume, the year that you're trying to go pro, you got to remember, they were talking about him earlier on anyway as possible Heisman material. And what happened? He fell off the cliff. So I think that's something when you talk about the #1 overall pick, I guess the only argument he has, Alex Smith was a #1 overall pick. So
well, look,
that's
in
the best you can say.
Mel Kiper's most recent mock draft, which was released before Geno Smith's pro day, he had him going 7th to the Cardinals. Just an FYI, guys.